Well, I see a new sign up here in front of the Rebecca Cohen. They must be calculating how many bicyclists are using the bike lane on a daily basis and through the year. Today it looks pretty deserted. It's just has 3 up there on the sign. You know, it's a really interesting thing that Dalhousie University can make these investments in green, initiatives, basically for privileged people when you stop and really think about it, because they're doing it for able-bodied people while they're at the same time taking handicapped parking spaces and moving them, shifting them, if you will, onto side streets where there is rampant abuse of the handicapped parking spaces now. One other sort of troubling aspect about the bike lane is the lack of consultation, because HRM's own solicitor told HRM Council at the council meeting of May 12, 2015 that, hey, we don't have to have a public consultation about the University Avenue bike lane because the Motor Vehicle Act does not compel us to do so. And another very interesting thing that happened during that council meeting of May 12, 2015, when the bike lane proposal was voted on by council, several council members actually asked an HRM staffer who was supporting the motion for the bike lane. They asked him, they said, well, what about people with disabilities? How is it going to affect, people who use wheelchairs and whatnot that have to need these handicapped parking spaces? And what this Mr. McIsaac, an HRM staffer, told HRM Council was that a presentation had been made to accessibility services at Dalhousie University, and he said they voiced no opposition. Well, that's very misleading. For 2 reasons. First off, accessibility services at Dalhousie does not speak on behalf of people with disabilities. They perform a purely administrative function. And secondly, during the council meeting of May 2015, when the HRM University Avenue bike lane was voted on by HRM Council, the proposal was seconded by Councillor Way Mason, and we have a little bit of a conflict of interest there, I believe, because Councillor Mason sat on the HRM Accessibility Committee, and another statement that was put forward to HRM Council on the night that this bike lane was voted on was that no one on the Accessibility Committee voiced an objection. Now, here's another very misleading statement, and Councillor Way Mason is implicated in that misleading statement because, for the following reason, the HRM Accessibility Committee is not there. They're not there to perform a function of approving or vetoing HRM initiatives. That's not their role, and the very reason that Councillor Way Mason sits on that committee, he should know that, and I believe he does know that. So by seconding the proposal for the University Avenue bike lane, there were 2 misleading statements, if you will, that were presented to HRM councillors who voiced concern about the possible impact of this bike lane. And, going back to what I noted earlier in this video, it's interesting that Dalhousie University has hundreds of thousands of dollars, apparently, to promote this bike lane and to support this bike lane, when Dalhousie is one of the most inaccessible campuses that you're going to find anywhere in the Maritime provinces. the inaccessibility of the campus is something that's largely ignored. So just take a look around. Do you see any bicyclists here today? According to the screen that was put up in front of the Rebecca Cohen, a grand total of 3 bicyclists used this bike lane today. And in the meantime, there's parking infractions happening on a daily basis because these handicap parking spaces that used to be in front of these buildings are now on the side streets where able-bodied people who don't have disabilities can just abuse those parking spaces at will. So thanks a lot, HRM, for putting in the bike lane, for just marginalizing people with disabilities. And we know where your priorities are, and it's certainly not to make this a more accessible city.